Yo, what's going on? Super Kicking here, and today we're going to be talking about the hypocrisy of Braun Strowman, as well as talking about some of his tweets he's made over the past few years. Now, this is a less serious topic, so I feel comfortable plugging my gaming channel here. If you want to see me game, go check out my channel Black Mask, link will be in the description. Now, with that being said, on to the video. Now, I want to kick this off with the tweets that Braun Strowman put out at the beginning of 2020 when the COVID pandemic happened, when, the playing world as well as the rest of the world had shut down. So Evil Uno put out a tweet basically saying that if you wanted to support your local indie wrestlers and, any indie wrestler you're a fan of, to go check them out. Maybe they got a Patreon, go buy their merch, watch their Twitch, watch their YouTube, just basically support them by viewing them somewhere else so that way they can make some money in those trying times. Now, let's pop up Braun Strowman's tweet on screen. Now, just in case you cannot read, I will read it out for you. Braun Strowman, under his personal account, says, "Here we go with more of the somebody pay for my bills stuff. If you cannot afford to pay your bills, maybe you should change professions. That's why I quit Strongman. I loved it, but I couldn't afford to live. So instead of making a GoFundMe or a Patreon wanting someone else to take care of me, I went out and worked harder than I ever had in my life to get to where I am. What happened to being accountable for your own actions?" Said, and for anyone that says, "Oh, that's easy for you to say, you're a WWE superstar," just an FYI, I don't know why he said it like that. 7 years ago, I moved to Florida with everything I own in a Kia Soul with $150 to my name when I started this. Now, as Deadlock Pro Wrestling brings up in their podcast when they talked about this, is that Braun Strowman did not move to Florida with just $150 to his name in a Kia Soul. He also moved there with a WWE contract because he was a wrestler. Now, Braun Strowman was basically a failed strongman. He was scouted by Mark Henry a year or two before he stopped doing strongman, and then ended up going there because he couldn't make it in strongman. Now, in this tweet right here, he states that if you can't afford to live, you should leave wrestling. Now, Braun, would you tell a McDonald's worker that? McDonald's is a multi-billion dollar company. They don't pay their workers enough. So, you're telling these people to go leave and get a different job. What job pays enough for them to live? Wrestling doesn't, fast food doesn't, retail doesn't, construction doesn't, nothing pays enough. So, Braun, you were telling these people in the middle of a pandemic to quit their job, to quit whatever little bit of money they're making because they can't afford to live off it and go get a different job that they also can't afford to live off because why? Because, you're a part of WWE. You've never had to struggle for anything in wrestling, And I mean that wholeheartedly. You had a WWE contract as soon as you came into wrestling. So you never really had to struggle. You never had to go through that indie circuit. You never had to sleep in your car like a Darby Allin did. You never had to perform in front of small arenas like a Gunther or a Javon Evans did or Sami Zayn did. You had nothing of struggle in wrestling. You had everything handed to you on a silver platter. You want a main event spot? Boy, you got it. You want a championship? Dude, you got it. You want, a job at WWE? You had it immediately. Now, what Strowman also does not know is that I believe maybe a few months after that, he gets fired, which I found hilarious because, dude, why? Why are you out here tweeting that, making fun of indie wrestlers and then getting fired afterwards? It's hilarious. It's karma. That's what it was. It was full on karma. You went and said how indie wrestlers should quit and you got fired. And then he went and started, whatever it is, control your narrative and failed with that too. And that was EC3 as well. But, he started controlling your narrative, I guess, in an attempt to say, hey, well, now I'm out here on the indies, I'm just like you, and then couldn't make it. So he dipped from control your narrative, tried to go to TNA, get a big contract there, and then when WWE came knocking and TNA wouldn't pay him the big contract, he went straight back to WWE to do nothing. Now, while on the topic of Braun Strowman's return to WWE, he comes back to WWE, begins the whole monster among men thing again, blah blah blah. We fast forward a few months, I believe it was a few months, and then he tweets out this tweet. Now, as Bald Spot McGee over here says, he states, he tags Omos and this says, "Can you believe we got 47 stars? It reminded the people that no one cares about all these flippy floppers. Giants and Monster over Flippy Flipper Bag Your Groceries at Kroger. I almost said Koger, not Atticus Koger. But, let's talk about that. First, let's dissect it. 47 stars, lie. I may not trust Meltzer's reviews because Meltzer gives everything Osprey does a 5 stars, and I can't say that even as an Osprey fan. But 47 stars for Braun Strowman versus Omos, terrible match. Garbage match. It's still Strowman. Strowman's a bad wrestler. Now, let's dissect the other thing. Flippy floppers. Extremely disrespectful to cruiserweight wrestlers. Let's look at some of the best of all time. Let's name some here. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. There's someone like a Will Ospreay's there. There's a here. Let's think. There's Mystico down in Mexico. Let's add him there. Tiger Mask did a lot of high flying there. I'm not really going just cruiserweights, but I'm going, the flippy floppers, the Amazing Red, Petey Williams, a Chris Sabin, and Alex Shelley. AJ Styles was one of those lighter guys. These are all really good wrestlers, great wrestlers there that all do, in his words, flippy floppy moves. Every single one of them has more talent in their left pinky toe than Braun Strowman does in his entire body times three. Now, Braun Strowman is that talentless, but let's go even further. Let's go down. He states, Giant and Monster over flippy flippers that bag your groceries at Kroger. Strowman, what is your obsession with making fun of people who don't make as much money as you? Like, this is some weird, like, I have more money than you, which makes me better than you type thing. It's the equivalent of Seth Rollins making fun of Osprey's bank account, which I'll probably do a video on at some point. Now, he says this. What is wrong with bagging groceries at Kroger? I would like to know. It is a job for the sake of getting money. Is it an honorable job? Yes. Those people have to deal with more garbage than Braun Strowman has ever had to deal with in his life in one day. Now, these people have to deal with someone yelling at them, someone, cursing them out, somebody complaining because they can't take a coupon that's 3 months expired, or not even for the right restaurant or place or store. Retail employees and fast food employees are some of the most abused employees in the world. Now, Strowman out here making fun of cruiserweights by comparing them, but I don't see how that's making fun of them. What am I supposed to draw from that? Am I supposed to say that cruiserweights are bad because, you know, they bag groceries at Kroger? I don't make fun of Kroger baggers. I don't make fun of anybody who works in retail and fast food because, again, they are abused. Those people are yelled at, cursed at, all that, as I just said. So by Strowman saying that, that means that he believes that people who bag groceries at Kroger are, I guess scum, they're trash, they're garbage. Now, what Braun Strowman also neglects to realize is that the people who bag groceries at Kroger, those people might be fans of Strowman. They're the people that buy your merch. They're the reason you have a WWE contract. Because honestly, what do you bring to WWE? You bring your height, that's it. You're not a good wrestler. You're not good on the mic. You're not entertaining. You go to other places, to promote WWE and nobody really cares. You're not really a useful employee. Now, on the screen, you can see Muscler's response to this, asking, can you teach me how to get fired? Now, there's also two other tweets where Strowman claps back and says, don't you work in catering? And, then Muscle responds with, yeah, I work there cooking you. A whole bunch of stuff there. Now, Will Ospreay also chimes in, basically asking Strowman, why do you seem so mad that other people are making money in the industry? So I'd just like to show that right now. Now, as you can see there, Will Ospreay goes and he talks about how, it seems weird that Strowman is so mad at people making money. And I agree with Ospreay. You know, it seems like he can't stand the fact that there are people making money outside of WWE. Like, if Strowman could have his way, WWE would be the only wrestling company in a million years. And it's a weird mindset that I know plenty of fans have, but it's weird for a wrestler to have that mindset. Now, Strowman didn't start as a wrestler, so he never had to really like deal with that struggle. So he spends most of his time insulting, fans of wrestling, the internet wrestling community, and going after other wrestlers. And, You already saw, him going after, cruiserweights and stuff, and him going after wrestlers during the pandemic. And there's so much more. I got a few more examples in this video itself, but I would like to focus on the cruiserweight one. As I did, I mentioned all those people, and I would love to hear if any of them are worse than Strowman. Because and put your bias aside if you are biased, and if you're not biased, look at it from a non-biased example. Try to think truly, is Strowman's in-ring ability better than any of those people? And that's how I look at wrestling myself. If I have to look at who is truly better, you know, there are a million wrestlers, but you got to look purely at in-ring talent. You cannot look at company. That's the thing. Because if you look at company, then you get people like Strowman. And Strowman looks at whatever company a wrestler's a part of, and he decides then if they're good or not. And then after that, he then passes them through a filter one more time of, are they smaller than me? Because if they're smaller than me, then, they're not better than me because I'm a big guy. Braun Strowman, let's check his stats. Strowman is 6'8", 355. Anybody who's less than that is inferior in his eyes, obviously. You know, due with his comments about Kroger and Kroger baggers and, cruiserweights being like that. And then now with, the whole clapping back at Mustafa and stuff and insulting him, but you didn't go and you didn't insult Osprey and you didn't, clap back at Jericho. I don't believe you clap back at either of them because they're bigger than Mustafa. He chose the smallest wrestler out of the ones criticizing him to insult because, hey, I'm a big man. Maybe I can intimidate you. And when it didn't work with Mustafa, he shut right up. When Mustafa showed that he was going to keep fighting, he immediately became quiet. That's the thing about Strowman is that Strowman has a fragile ego. He has a massive ego, but he's also not a strong man, as in, a word that people would use to describe strong man. He's not an emotionally strong man. If you insult him, he comes back harder than ever, and he calls people snowflakes. I've seen this man call plenty of people online snowflakes. But dude, you are the biggest snowflake of them all. Country strong Adam Shear here, complaining about what fans and other wrestlers say in response to his garbage tweets. Like, why? And then he'll spend hours and hours going after fans, who don't even tag him, which shows that he's just searching his own name, looking for things to be mad about because why not? I should be able to complain. I'm Adam Shear. Now, Strowman also went and took shots at Buff Bagwell for driving under the influence. Buff Bagwell had this to respond with: should I have done it on the water? Something about glass houses. I'm open about my past mistakes and tend not to bring up others against them. You got offended because I made a joke about something I didn't even know you were a part of because I didn't know you. Now, if that's not bad enough, Braun Strowman decides he wants to say, did I get a driving ticket on a boat? Yes. The rest of that picture he posted was fake. I wasn't with WWE and definitely didn't spend the night in jail. Paid my ticket and went on about life. Pause. Now, Braun Strowman signed with WWE in 2013. The first notable leak of him signing was May 17th, 2013 on a wrestling board. Editor super kicking here. It was not on a wrestling board. It was on Ringside News, in which they deleted the article years later. Unfortunately, I could not access the article, so I have the message board thing here. Sorry for interrupting the video again to bring you an editor's comment, but that's what I had to do. So back to the video, in which they state that, he has signed with WWE that month. This happened a month after he signed with WWE. He later goes on and tries to make right with Buff Bagwell, says, I'll man up right now and admit I came at you too hard. I went for the kill and shouldn't have. I understand you didn't know I was a part of controlling your narrative, but imagine you being one of the boys taking shots at a place to give work to another wrestlers. Pause. Now, Strowman, were you not just taking shots at indie wrestlers literally 2 years before this? Not even, no, no, no. Yeah, that was about 2 years before this. It was 2022. You were taking shots at wrestlers 2 years before this, bro. I don't want to hear nothing from you about not taking shots at other wrestler companies because You literally took shots at indie companies and then took shots again later on, that like a few weeks later, a few months later, to go after AEW. Why do you keep making, tweets about other companies and then going and saying, well, you shouldn't insult control your narrative. It's a great company. It was a terrible company. Let's go on with that. He says, we should be sticking together to better the industry. It's toxic enough with the internet wrestling community. We shouldn't be going at each other on social. Best wishes. Now, I agree with that. We should be making the industry better for people. That is what I am trying to do myself. I'm trying to better the industry. I'm trying to expose those who, they happen to be either, very hypocritical and do the things that they dislike of others, or the racism of, wrestling, the discrimination, the terrible booking and stuff like that. I want to be able to make wrestling a better place, but Braun Strowman doesn't seem like he wants to do that. It seems like he wants to make wrestling a better place by insulting those he views are lesser than him, and then while also hyping up WWE as the only wrestling company that should exist. Why is that? Why is WWE so much better in his eyes than a TNA, an AEW, a New Japan, a Ring of Honor? Those are all places, let's get rid of AEW for now. Let's take New Japan. New Japan's been around since WCW. CMLL, same thing. AAA, same thing. Ring of Honor's been around for like 20 years at this point. TNA, same thing. So I want to know what makes those places lesser than WWE, because it ain't the history. Oh, WWE is the biggest company in the world, the biggest wrestling company in the world. Okay, and these places are the biggest in their country. TNA is the biggest Canadian pro wrestling, show. What is it? Ring of Honor was the biggest indie wrestling company. New Japan is the biggest in Japan. AAA and CMLL. I don't know which one's bigger in Mexico, but they're big companies in Mexico. So what makes WWE better? Is it because they're American? I couldn't tell you because I'm not Braun Strowman. I don't have that information. But all I'm saying is that WWE is not better than any other company for any reason at all. They may make more money, they may have more money, but you're not better in any way, shape, or form. And that's what Strowman doesn't seem to realize. Strowman thinks better comes from, being, I guess, in the big company, and I don't agree with that whatsoever at all. Now, before this video ends, I would just like to address one more thing that I have found, and it is not a piece of evidence, but it was something that I found while I was researching for the video. And it was a supposed report from Dave Meltzer that Braun Strowman cursed out Karen Jarrett, refused to sign an autograph for her son, and got all scared when she brought up Kurt Angle. Now, I looked at this, I researched, and I found that it is not true. Karen Jarrett said herself that it was something that was way overblown, that it was just a joke between her and Strowman, that it happened and people had caught it, but they had, caught it and thought that it was real. So I would just like to address that right now. It is not true. It is not a real thing. It did not happen. But go find that article that Meltzer wrote about it, because it is a hilarious read. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, especially when you know that Meltzer made it up himself. It is hilarious. Now, with that being said, I would just like to ask you all to leave a like and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed it. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.